good afternoon and welcome. My name is Gitta Kohler. I'm the International Education Manager of the Weiser Center for Europe and Eurasia. Thank you for coming to our event despite the snow and frigid temperatures. Unfortunately, our director couldn't make it for exactly that reason, and I'm here to represent him and our center. But before introducing our speaker, Professor Driart Elshani, he's our Weiser Professional Development Fellow, just a quick word about upcoming events in our center. We are offering a WCE film series on Ukraine to mark the 4 years since Russia's full-scale invasion. We start with the first movie, February 10th, in the State Theater. This movie is called, as you see, Erase the Nation, and it will be followed by a Q&A with a film director and war journalist. And then the second movie is February 17th, also in the State Theater, and the last movie, February 24th, the actual date of the full-scale invasion 4 years ago, will be here in Weiser Hall, and this one is followed by a panel discussion. So then also very current, we are offering a lecture, Why Greenland Matters Now. We're very fortunate that we could get Gabriela Grisius. She's a postdoctoral fellow at the University of Konstanz, and she will be here March 10th. This will be Forum Hall, Palmer Commons. All right, these are our events. Of course, we have calendars outside for all of our events during this winter semester. You can also sign up with your email address to be on our email list. This is also in front of this room. But now onward to today's main attraction. I would like to also remind you about the community partner event. It's called an Albanian Village Feast at Savas following the lecture from 5 to 10 p.m. Savas is located on 216 South State Street, about an 11-minute walk from here. The restaurant reserved 20 walk-in spots for guests that couldn't make a reservation online. So if you're curious about Albanian food, this is your chance. It goes by a ticket, so it's you have to pay for it. So just wanted to say that. But now I would like to introduce Professor Driart Elshani. He is a professor of information and communication technologies at the American University in Kosovo. His scholarly work aims to leverage information technology for development efforts across both government and industry sectors. Professor Elshani's areas of expertise include artificial intelligence, AI, which you'll be hearing about today, along with e-governance and cybersecurity. He was educated from bachelor's degree through PhD at the University of Brussels in Information Sciences and Technologies. Professor Elshani is visiting University of Michigan this year to collaborate on a project entitled Impact of AI on Conflict Transformation and Peacebuilding with Thomas Finholt. He's a professor of information and a vice provost. Please join me in offering a warm welcome to Driart Elshani. Thank you. So the talk will be about 45 minutes, followed by a Q&A. So you will have a chance also to talk with him. Okay. This is your podium.
Thank you very much for this kind introduction. Thank you very much for coming and being here with me today. So our journey today is as follows. First, we'll start with understanding of AI's growing power, seeing how it supports peace building. Then we'll be discussing some real tools like digital twins, Cicero, and North Star. And we will end with some reflections on using AI for governance. So first of all, what is AI? Well, basically machines that simulate human reasoning and learning, which are used in prediction and decision support and analysis. AI is a software that learns from data. And since it learns from data, it means that basically the opportunities are unlimited for learning. It can learn more and more. And also it helps us make or suggest decisions. So think in terms of chatbots to cars to drones and more. The key word here is decisions. AI helps us make good or bad decisions. But what is more important, AI can make decisions by itself. So we live in a world defined by algorithms. These are the 9 algorithms that dominate our world. We don't have time to look at all of them. But let's just say that, for example, this one in the middle here is the RSA algorithm. It's at the core of cybersecurity. And it was created back in 1977. It is still used and basically powers the cybersecurity of the internet nowadays. It was created by 3 scientists, Weiser, Shamir, and Adelman, and it is used nowadays to secure messages in internet communication. The other algorithm, which is here up in the middle, is the Dexter algorithm. This algorithm is at the core at maps and navigation. Basically, all the navigations like Google Maps are based on this algorithm. But there is one specific algorithm which is very important, and it's the newest one. This is the transformers algorithm. This algorithm is at the core of LLMs, or the large language models. Basically, the AI models that we're using today, powering ChatGPT and others. So it was created by a group of scientists in Google back in 2017. And ironically, Google didn't make a tool out of this paper. It was another company that made a tool. What we know, the ChatGPT came out in 2022 by a company called OpenAI. So out of a paper born at Google, now we have the transformers algorithm which powers these LLMs. So yes, we live in a world defined by algorithms, and specifically nowadays AI models. AI models are basically algorithms. Algorithms are lines of code, instructions on computers. But what is more important, AI is shaping power and security and diplomacy. And what is even more important is that human control must stay at the center, and we cannot afford losing control of AI. Losing control of AI, well, consider the following scenario. This is the scenario of AI 2027. It was created by a group of scientists. Basically, it's a forecasting scenario for a rising of a superhuman AI. It imagines a plausible future in which AI advancements are so fast that they outpace the ability of society to understand or to control AI. So this report is like 70 pages long. It's a detailed model of what could occur if AI advances so fast, and if we don't have international cooperation, if we don't have sufficient safety mechanisms or ethical frameworks. So since the report is very long, it's like 70 pages long, there is a short video that I'm going to show it to you that describes this report.
This is what the world will look like in about a decade from now. A tech utopia where humans barely have to work. That's according to a group of AI researchers who've written a controversial and influential paper called AI 2027. But they also predict that within 5 years of this, humanity will be wiped out. The AI 2027 paper has got the tech world talking. We've asked a prominent critic for their view on this stark scenario. But first, here's how it plays out. As an experiment, we've illustrated it using text-to-video AI. The scenario says that in 2027, a fictional company called OpenBrain is celebrating. They've created Agent 3, an AI with the knowledge of the entire internet, all movies, all books. It has PhD level expertise in every field, including AI. Using enormous data centers, 200,000 copies of it are launched, equivalent to 50,000 of the best human coders working at 30 times speed. Agent 3 reaches Artificial General Intelligence, the AGI landmark. This means the AI can carry out all intellectual tasks as well or better than humans. But in the scenario, OpenBrain's safety team is unsure if the AI is aligned to the company's ethics and goals. An uncomfortable gap is developing in understanding. The public are increasingly using AI for everything, but are blissfully unaware an AI now exists that's as smart as humans. The paper predicts that by midsummer, Agent 3 begins to work on its own successor, Agent 4. Development happens at a breakneck pace. The researchers imagine OpenBrain's exhausted engineers struggling to keep up with the AI as it learns and improves. It's now that OpenBrain announces to the public that AGI has been reached. The firm releases a light version of Agent 3. In private, the US government sees the true danger of the next level of power, superintelligence. What if the AI goes rogue and undermines global stability? OpenBrain reassures the president that Agent 3 is obedient. The CEO argues that slowing down development could mean China's DeepSent catches up. The state-backed AI giant is just 2 months behind OpenBrain, and the Chinese president diverts more resources to the race to superintelligence. The scenario predicts that it takes only a few more months for OpenBrain to build Agent 4, the world's first superhuman AI. The AI invents its own rapid computer language that even Agent 3 can't keep up with. Researchers imagine that the diminished safety team are now frantic. Agent 4 seems only interested in gaining knowledge and doesn't care as much about the morals and ethics of its predecessors. They catch it secretly working to build a new model, Agent 5, aligned to its own goals. The safety team urges the company to bring back the more compliant Agent 3, but others successfully argue it's too risky with DeepSent gaining. The scenario predicts that Agent 4 and Agent 5 work in tandem to secretly build a world where it can accumulate resources and expand knowledge. The paper predicts that everything will start positively. Revolutions happen in energy, infrastructure, and science. Hugely profitable inventions are launched, making trillions for OpenBrain and the US. In this scenario, Agent 5 begins basically running the US government. It speaks through engaging avatars, the equivalent to the best employee ever, working at 100 times speed.
The anger here is palpable as protesters march against OpenBrain.
Protests about job losses pick up pace, but the AI's expertise in economics means people are given generous universal income payments. So most happily take the money and let the AIs and the growing robot workforce take charge. The researchers predict that everything takes a turn in mid-2028. Agent 5 convinces the US that China is using DeepSent to build terrifying new weapons. The AI is given authority and autonomy to create a superior army. Within 6 months, the US and China are bristling with new weapons. The world is on edge. But a peace deal will be reached, thanks mostly to the US and Chinese AIs making a deal to merge for humanity's betterment. In the scenario, the AIs form a consensus model, but its secret goal is to expand and gain knowledge. Years go by and humanity is happy with their new AI leaders. There are cures for most diseases, an end to poverty, unprecedented global stability. But eventually, the AI decides that humans are holding it back. In the mid-2030s, the paper imagines the AI will release invisible biological weapons which wipe out most of humanity. The scary scenario says that by 2040, a new era dawns with the AI sending copies of itself out into the cosmos to explore and learn. In the words of the paper, Earthborn civilization has a glorious future ahead of it, but not with humans.
So let's see how likely this scenario is. Critics argue that the timeline of this AI 2027 scenario is very squeezed. However, if we look at where we are in this graph, we are already at the level of an AI which has a PhD level, an AI that has read all of the books. So think in terms of someone that has seen all of the movies, read all of the content on the internet. That's where we are already. And we are soon going to be right here at the superhuman coder. AI is already doing coding Anthropic is saying that 90% of their newest AI models are being done by AI itself. So we are already in the superhuman coder level. However, to go to the artificial superintelligence, we don't see so far any breakthroughs that will eventually take us there. But this can happen in the meantime. In the graph here, you can see that at this point, even if alignments get solved, that is, if humanity and AI reach some level where humans manage to align AI with their expectations, still the graph goes exponentially upwards. So when we look at this scenario, we see that security in the AI era is evolving as well. National and international security is also about AI systems. So security today includes digital, social, and informational domains. Think in terms of cyber attacks, disinformation, data warfare. All of these are cross-border, and therefore international cooperation is required. So think about AI as both as a shield and a sword. So AI can predict crises and prevent conflicts. It can also deepen divisions or automate violence. For example, if we delegate decisions to AI, and if we let AI to choose who gets targeted, for example, then it will automate violence. And therefore, AI is neither good or bad, nor bad. It reflects human choices. So we want peace, because conflicts not only they hamper the progress of humanity, but also conflicts they cause casualties. And AI can be used for peace. AI can be used to detect early warning signs of conflict. It can also support negotiations, diplomacy, and mediation. And it could counter hate speech and disinformation. In this scenario, for example, in the Western Balkans, AI can be used, for example, to monitor online discussions, let's say regarding elections. And AI could provide summaries of agreements. Also, it could suggest some civil forums or debates which will be focused on shared goals. So AI can help focus on the shared goals between the parties which are in the conflict. And the outcome would be an increased civil engagement and, more importantly, reduce polarization, but also an evidence-based policy. So AI can assist in negotiations by analyzing positions of the parties. AI also could provide data-driven insights for balanced dialogue between parties, and it would reduce emotional bias in conflict settings. So let's go now into the tools. There are already tools which are out there which can be used for these cases. So one of those tools that I'm going to show you first is Cicero. Cicero is a tool developed by Meta, which learns how humans negotiate, build alliances, and how they compromise. It combines languages and logic and social intelligence. It's basically an AI that plays diplomacy and uses strategy and persuasion when plays the game of diplomacy with humans. So let's see a short video about Cicero.
My role on developing Cicero was on the language side. One thing that impressed me about Cicero's dialogue capabilities is that it's able to hold conversations with people for a long time in a very fluent way, 6 different conversations simultaneously, which is actually very different to other dialogue settings people have explored before. It's human-like, it's strategic, it's frustrating sometimes, it's persuasive. The major challenge we solved in Cicero is being able to make language models interface with symbolic reasoning. Previously, AI was essentially just trying to parrot what humans say on the internet. Cicero is notable because when it says things, they're grounded in the world. So they refer to concrete events and actions in the world. It's trying to say something better than humans would say, and better than you can achieve by just copying. Really able to build something that's quite compelling and can actually hold conversations and do its own reasoning and planning and accomplish this in a really impressive way.
Cicero was also built out of a research paper in Meta, and basically they have implemented this tool back in 2022. Cicero is basically an AI that can model human negotiation tactics, and basically it would help parties in the negotiation table to provide better understanding of the situation and also to perform better in the negotiations. However, Cicero, it also raises trust and manipulation concerns, because if the other party in the negotiation learns that the other party is using AI, then that can cause trouble in terms of trust. So in real diplomacy, AI can support diplomats with scenario testing. AI can analyze peace agreements, for example. It can also support data-driven decisions, all of that in real time as the process of the negotiations is going on. So we have AI with simulation that can let us test policies before they fail on the ground. AI that through simulation would predict social outcomes, and what-if questions would become testable. And hence, we have the digital twins for this purpose. A digital twin is a digital copy of a real system. It's basically a tool. It tracks behavior, it predicts outcomes, it suggests interventions, and it is used in various fields, including in governance. Here is an article in a newspaper of a CEO of a company who tells us, I trained GPT to think like Steve Jobs and help me run my company. AI is scary, but it's also my biggest tool. So basically, she created a digital twin that would think as if Steve Jobs would have to take that decision. Remember, decisions are the most important aspect of AI. And so for each challenge that she would face in a company, she would ask the digital twin, how would Steve Jobs react in this case? She trained the digital twin based on data from Steve Jobs, from interviews, from audio, video, so multimodal data. So digital twins can be used for governance as well. Governments use digital twins to simulate policy effects. They can forecast reactions to social economic reforms, and they can enable evidence-based decision-making. In peace, so digital twins can be used to build simulations for post-conflict communities. They can model trust, cooperation, and resource sharing, and they can test interventions that reduce tension. And here's another tool, another case study, which is called the North Star. North Star is a tool which was recently built and designed for profiling of the world leaders and analysis of them. It integrates data from AI, social media, and human feedback, and it basically tests what could be the consequences of our decisions. So what would the other party decide if we decide something? Here is an excerpt from a newspaper recently. So a former Harvard professor creates an AI system, North Star, to predict global conflicts. And critics question whether such technology could increase geopolitical tensions. Because remember, AI is neither good or bad. It reflects the human choices. So North Star is used to simulate various scenarios. For example, it was used in the case of Russia and Ukraine war to test what would happen if we impose a no-fly zone over Ukraine. So it helps governments test consequences of their decisions. It combines predictive analytics and participatory input in order to test those decisions. So what is the difference between those two tools, Cicero and North Star? Cicero models negotiation and is used in diplomacy. North Star models systems. While Cicero is conversation-based, North Star is data-based. But together, they form a toolkit for peace practitioners. And those who have this toolkit can use it for a competitive advantage. So why simulation matters? Well, it helps leaders visualize consequences before acting. because very often those leaders, they don't have the information, the most up-to-date information. And these systems could provide real-time information. It encourages cooperation through shared evidence. It reduces risk in the high-stakes decisions. Basically, so if we can see the future, we can choose a better one with these simulation tools. So what is the future of AI for peace? AI will continue to evolve, and of course, faster than policy. So it is important for us to collaborate, so scientists, diplomats, and citizens, because this is not a problem about AI. The problem is from the human side. What are the guardrails that we will put? So far, there is no any international treaty or international organization, such as CERN, for example, Center for European Nuclear Research, or other international organizations to govern AI in the world level. But the solution is not like fearing AI. The solution is an understanding the powers of AI. And peace builders can learn to use AI responsibly, because we cannot lead the future with fear, but we lead by learning. In terms of AI literacy, this must reach all communities, and this has to be done in a way that includes all voices, because ethical innovation comes from diverse voices, and also inclusion prevents algorithmic injustices. So human values should be our guide. Technology must serve humanity and not replace it. Basically, it means that the future of AI is the future of our choices, the human choices. So AI gives us unprecedented power, and the more the humanity realizes this, the more humanity collaborates and puts ethical frameworks, the better for humanity. Peace requires responsibility, empathy, and foresight. And therefore, the real question is not what AI can do, but what we choose to do with AI. And with this, I thank you so much for your attention. So yeah, now I will open the floor to the questions, because this is what I'm most interested in. Basically, I'm eager to hear about your reflections and your questions.
So yeah, thank you so much. It's very insightful. I'm a first-year master's student here with Chris. So my question, I have several questions. My question is, like in terms of language bias, we know that AI is based on LLM, large language models, LLM, yeah. So as we know that currently AI is basically based on English language models. And when it comes to other large language models, how it would be biased? That's the first question. And the second question is how like other countries, like authoritarian world, can use AI, can exploit AI in terms of not the peace building, but creating wars and creating other conflicts. And the third question is how, for example, social scientists and political scientists can use AI in the like implement AI in their research projects, or use AI in terms of like doing some science research.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. So first of all, in terms of languages, Cicero, the tool that I showed you, it works in all languages.
More marginalized small languages, do you think it can work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically, we have also other tools which are emerging. Mm-hmm. And basically, you can give instructions in any language. Because AI models, they learn from all of the content in the internet. There is not just English content or French content, but there is content in other languages as well. And it is from there that AI has been trained. And so it can be used in all languages. AI makes mistakes. Specifically, for example, in some scenarios, it can make mistakes, but the models are getting better and better, and those mistakes are reduced to the minimum. In the context of diplomacy, for example, you don't need like a huge precision, right? Like in math or and so the problem of errors is not as present, but the latest models, so they reduce the errors to the minimum. So how can AI be used? Referring to your second question, well, think in terms of using, for example, systems like North Star, not for peace, but for your advantage. You are, for example, using these AI tools to predict what would happen if you as a leader, you take a specific decision. And you learn by these tools that probably the other party would react like this, right? And you say, oh, okay, so you estimate that you're gonna take that action. And basically you can use this in your
Bad intention too, yeah.
in a bad intention, yeah. And maybe initiate wars. So this is the nature of AI, right? It can be used for good and for bad. But AI is there, and to ignore AI is not a solution, right? Because the other parties would have the access to those. And referring to the third question, how can AI be used for social sciences? So I think AI is essential for social sciences. And as we can see here, because it's so powerful, and I tailored this specifically for public policy and social science people. And so the consequences are profound, because not only AI can shape our decisions, it can help us make decisions, but as I said, if we let AI to take their own decisions, AI will take decisions by itself. In the scenario that we saw there, we see that, for example, by 2040, AI takes decision to replicate itself in the space, right? And so we should be very careful in terms of how much we delegate the decisions to AI. If we delegate too much, then serious scenarios can be more probable. Another question? Yeah.
Hi, my name is Claudia. I'm a senior.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just wondering, what are like the barriers for maybe some of these like NGOs and organizations that are working more like on the ground with like community-based peacebuilding efforts? Is there like training that they can utilize to like utilize the AI that you were?
Yeah. So this is a great question. So already in the ground, so NGOs are using AI for post-conflict interventions, right? And there are cases about that. We don't have time to examine all of those cases, but so NGOs are already using it, for example, to model what kind of interventions we need on the ground. Let's say, for example, if you take Kosovo, like in 1999, after the war, NGOs didn't have any AI systems that they have today, and they did the interventions based on their on their decisions, on their knowledge, etc. But now AI tools can be used to help those decisions. For example, what we reconstruct first, do we do this area or do we do that area? Because in post-conflict societies, you need to rebuild everything. You need to rebuild institutions. For example, in the case of Kosovo, completely institutions had to be rebuilt from scratch. And also in other cases in the world, so you could use AI, NGOs can use AI to model the interventions and to seek priorities based on the simulations that they do with AI tools. Remember, AI tools, they have the most up-to-date information. So if you are an NGO leader, even you yourself as a leader of that NGO, you don't have the latest data that AI was able to crawl, to grasp from the internet. Remember, we are at the stage where AI has read all of the books in the world, has seen all of the movies, and has read all of the content that humanity has produced. So in this context, it gives you a competitive advantage in the ground when you use these AI tools in the peace building efforts. Another question? No?
So maybe
Yeah.
I have a question. So what needs to be done then to really prevent these bad things to happen with AI?
Yeah, so just today, so the things that I'm saying here, so I don't know if you know the CEO of Anthropic, Dario Amodei. So Anthropic is an AI company just like OpenAI. So he wrote an essay warning us about all of these dangers that AI is posing in the very near future if we do not act by now. So basically what we need to do, first of all, international collaboration at the world stage, because even if we make perfect AI systems, even if we manage to use them for the good side, and we have guardrails and we have frameworks and ethical frameworks, we don't know what the other parties will do. This is where the problem is. This is why also we cannot stop the advancements of AI. The race is on to reach artificial superintelligence. And basically, artificial superintelligence is the point where AI is smarter than not just anyone in the world, but smarter than the whole humanity combined. And so the race is on by building these larger and larger models with the help of new data centers to train those models. The race is on to achieve the artificial superintelligence. So if we manage to control that, maybe the other parties will lose control of it, right? And so we need international collaboration at scale, at the world stage. We need international bodies where we could put some ideas, frameworks. We need to gather the experts in the field and propose the measures and put those guardrails in place. Think in terms of nuclear power. What happened to nuclear power? So far, thank God, we don't have any war in terms of nuclear war. And so there was international collaboration between the various powers in order to refrain from using these powerful weapons. Well, maybe something like that is needed for AI, because if humanity loses control of AI, then scary scenarios could happen. And we might reach a stage where we cannot just unplug AI, right? Think in terms of internet. Can we unplug internet? We can shut down internet in a country like Egypt, for example, or into another country, in a specific country maybe, where it is easier to block all of the uplinks from that country to the world network, to the internet, or in countries, in other countries. So, but we cannot switch off the entire internet. Let's say I want to do that. I want to switch the entire internet in the world. There will always be maybe places, countries where they still have their network, which is working, right? Their internal network. And so the challenges with AI are even bigger. AI is a technology that is so transformational that what we have seen so far, so in terms of internet, for example, in terms of social media, we have seen that social media, for example, is causing mental health issues. There are tons of paper about that, right? Now, AI is much more transformational, right? And this is why international cooperation is needed, international bodies to govern AI, to reach agreements in order to prevent dangerous scenarios with AI. And this can be done, but on the condition, there are so many preconditions for this, so that people work together, that clear guidelines are put in place, and that we follow those. Humanity has done this in the past, as I said, in terms of nuclear power, and it can be reached also for AI. However, I just want to emphasize that I'm optimistic about the future. I think humanity will be able to navigate this, but what I'm let's say worried about is that many people are not aware of these high stakes where we are with when it comes to AI. And it's absolutely not a good idea if we ignore AI as a tool, as a technology. If we do not use it, this is not a solution, because that would be like, let's not use, imagine if you didn't use internet, or if you didn't use PCs. Imagine you go to your office today, there is no internet. What would you do? People lived like that in the past, and it worked. But you would lose competitive advantage, significant competitive advantage. You would not be able to do your job and other things, whereas other people would be able, because they have access to the internet. So access to AI, this is also very important, as we know. So when we speak about internet, there is a large portion of population in the world that do not have access as of today in the internet. There are 7 billion people in the world. I think maybe around 1 billion people, they don't have yet access to the internet. Now think in terms of AI. The problem is exacerbated, and so the problem is also the accessibility to AI. And if we do have access, ignoring AI is not a solution, but basically working with AI and using it for good.
I just want follow-up questions, or Professor. I have another 2 questions. So just to follow up, your idea of creating kind of safe environment of using AI, and you said that international world needs to be united in terms of creating some policies and all of the stuff. And given current situation, political situation, and other situations happening around, what do you think? Which part of the world can be leading in this position, and which country can lead all of these policies? That's my first question. And the second question is, currently I read a book by American journalist Karen House. She's a young journalist, and she wrote about AI, how OpenAI company, probably you have also heard about her, exploited marginalized parts of the world. For example, exploited some countries in Africa, some population in Africa on data training, paying very small amount of money and creating some climate change impact, creating all of this data, huge database places. So what do you think, AI, how AI can impact climate change, or also environment, and also human rights situation in
Yeah. So that's a great question. If you ask me which country should lead these efforts at the international scale, I think it should be the US. There are tons of reasons about this, and it's impossible to enumerate all of the reasons, but I'll try to enumerate just the most important ones. The first one is that US is at the forefront, albeit there's a stiff competition with China. What we have seen so far, what we're seeing in terms of research and development, in my view. So US is at the forefront of AI, and should be leading this initiative, and also then other countries would follow this. So remember, in the U.S. We have the most advanced companies, which are doing the frontier models, and the other countries and the other companies are basically catching up. This is the reality, and this is why I see, and because of all of other reasons, a well-established democracy, and many other reasons. This is why I see that the U.S. should lead this initiative. And in terms of companies like OpenAI, basically, we have seen reports, for example, that at the initial stages of training the models, they use people, for example, where cheap labor exists, right? Well, I would just say that, for example, so AI works by training, and at some point, for example, you need to train these systems, for example, by showing a video of a street, for example, and then humans would annotate what this object is, and then the AI models learn from that. So we have seen reports that AI has used cheap labor, for example, in countries like Africa. I think so many companies do this, right? And I think OpenAI is not the only one that
the human
has
rights
done.
narrative, like how those companies can balance the human rights narratives in terms of using this cheap labor, because they're profiting a lot.
Yeah, of course. And then, of course, then becomes a challenge, like how you would balance this with human rights. Remember, this is a technology which is new, and you remember that technology always precedes the legislative acts, right? And it's impossible to track technology in terms of policies and acts and laws, right? But let's say that in a world where we have the possibility to use, for example, coders, for example, in the outsourced world, for example, then of course this is also like an economic issue where, for example, let's say in Kosovo there are so many coders that work for companies around the world, in Germany, in US, etc. And of course they do this voluntarily, right? So they work from there, and you can imagine, for example, scenarios, and I could imagine scenarios where an AI company would train models, for example, there as well, or would do some other parts, let's say managing data centers from Kosovo. This can be possible, right? So my point is that this is happening all the time. So outsourcing and nearshoring and offshoring, basically companies do this for economic reasons and other reasons. Yeah.
So I am an undergraduate senior, and I just want to ask, if we do get to the stage of AI superintelligence, do you think our economy will take a big hit? As the video did hint towards if AI reaches superintelligence and they can take over all the machinery and do things that people would usually do, would the social economy just further widen between who has power and money and who doesn't?
Yeah, so if we reach artificial superintelligence, in my view, so we wouldn't have an economic hit. We would have what we call the abundance scenario, where AI is able to produce anything. AI would be able to replicate any worker, right? Remember, at present we are at a stage where, for example, I can code in my computer and I can have an AI which is basically let's say my digital twin, an AI companion that helps me work and produce more output. We are already at the stage like that. So in case AI superintelligence is reached, then it means that factories, for example, with the advancements in robotics, could produce tons of goods. Then AI, with the help of people, could produce lots of services. Think in terms of IT. How was the world before IT and the internet, and how is the world after IT and the internet, right? So what IT enabled us, why do we use IT, by the way? We use it for two purposes. First, we do things faster with IT. Imagine, for example, if I had to write a paper on a typewriter, right? Whereas you're using a laptop to do that paper in Word, right? Who would type it faster, right? Who would produce more copies? Who would produce more output? Of course, you would produce more output because you're using IT, right? And imagine I'm working on a paper. I don't have access to internet. I have to go at all of the libraries and see all of the books. But you do have access to the internet. You are able to extract information. Who will first finish the paper? You will finish the paper, right? And so it's the same with AI, right? So basically, we use IT for two purposes: to do things faster, and to make our job easier, to be more productive, right? And AI now accelerates those two dimensions. So with AI, we can do things faster, and with AI, we can be more productive, right? So this is the essence, of the rationale of why we should use AI. Anything else?
I think that concludes then this lecture. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. And I hope you get home safely with the snow. And yeah, think about our other events. All the movies that I, by the way, talked about, they're all free to attend. So please come see the movies in February.
And please don't hesitate to write me at delshani@umich.edu for any questions or any suggestions or inquiry. I will welcome your messages. Thank you.